Okay, so I watched the second episode of Domina. I'm gonna review it now briefly, and then I'm gonna watch the third one. Let me just say, it gets better. At least in my not so humble opinion, it gets better in the second episode. It's not as corny as the first one, and there were some more interesting elements in it, so because I'm sick of negativity, I'm just gonna get through the good points quickly, mention the horrible stuff in passing, if any, and wrap this recording up. The series is still shit, but at least now it doesn't smell that bad as in the beginning. And let me just mention the very first scene in the episode is Octavian and Mark Antony standing on a roster in the forum and getting some love from the crowd. And the two of them bask in the love of the public, while Mark Antony says in a low voice, fuck you all, give us your money, and die. And I have to say, isn't that just one of the most brutal moments of irony you've ever experienced? The characters in the stupid show are literally saying to the crowds, fuck you, give us your money, and die. To me, it feels like this is the showmakers talking to the show viewers as well. Just eat that shit up, like it, and then die. On a positive note, I need to say that, and this is a positive point I noticed in the first episode as well, but I forgot to mention it in the review. It looks like they're filming this on the Cinecittà set in Rome, which is the same set they filmed HBO's Rome at. So at least there's this nice connection. And we have this fragile guarantee on the show's part that at least the look of the architecture will be somewhat faithful. I also really liked the harshly realistic depiction of the slave situation. Like, oh look, Scribonia has sent us a present, and it's a fucking human being. And not only is it a slave as a present, but the present also comes with a note, which is tied to the slave's neck like it's a cat or something, and she couldn't carry it. Yep, it's insane, it's accurate, and I love it. One stupid thing I hated about this episode is the adventure that Livia goes on in the Subura, which is like the most dangerous place in Rome, to find and rescue her slave friend. She's being sold as a prostitute in a brothel, and now Livia has to go in and save her. Never mind the fact that it's as if there's only one brothel in the fucking city, so she knows exactly where to look. But anyway, she goes in and surprise, surprise, she finds her beloved slave. Given that she was lost and unconscious in the fucking woods somewhere outside of Italy, even, this one little girl, who's obviously a slave, somehow manages to return to the fucking city of Rome alive and free, and it's only there that she gets in trouble. And then, of course, Livia finds her, and at the end of the episode, saves her, and the pimp woman who had made the slave a prostitute is killed in revenge. Really, really stupid and childish plot, in my opinion. First, because the odds of the slave managing to return to Rome safely on her own are close to zero. And second, because even if real life Livia was kind hearted and ahead of her time in regards to the perception of uh, owning humans, which I doubt she was, I don't think she would have risked going by herself into a fucking brothel in Rome, and all of it just to save a slave. People in modern times really need to realize what the standing of slaves was in the ancient world, and it was basically like kitchen appliances. Most regular people in antiquity thought of a slave as we do of a fridge or a sheep or something. Even if you're a fucking angel of a person and love everything and everyone equally, would you risk going to a fucking brothel by yourself in the most dangerous district of the city to save your favorite fridge? Anyway, the only thing I liked about this plotline was that Isabella Rossellini played the pimp woman who ran the brothel, and she really, really played the part wonderfully. She felt really creepy and imposing, and I have to be honest, it took me a bit of time to realize it was her, because boy has she gotten old. Last time I'd seen her in anything was years ago. And now when I saw her again and what she currently looks like, I got reminded yet again that I am now 31 fucking years old. Anyway, another thing I hate about this series, their constant use of the F bomb. And I know, who am I to make a fuss about that given how much I curse myself? But I'm not the one making a fucking show about ancient Rome. And also, the modernistic soundtrack is pretty stupid and takes me out of the story. I absolutely loved every single soundtrack in HBO's Rome because they knew to create the music in the same manner of the time, which is trying to recreate it with ancient style instruments and rhythms and whatever. While here in Domina, it's like they took the soundtrack from Breaking Bad or something, and it was probably just to make the show sound quote unquote badass. And getting back to the positive notes, and this is probably the thing that made me say the show's getting somewhat better after the first episode. I really liked the switcheroo of wives between Octavian and Nero and Livia and Scribonia. The two marriages abruptly falling apart so that new marriages can be arranged without any delay whatsoever. And all of it in the middle of both of the women being pregnant. It looked insane in the show, and it was also insane in real life. Augustus just fucking over his first wife, who's pregnant, and then taking on a brand new wife who is also heavily pregnant by her ex-husband. And if I'm not mistaken, I think she went like this on their actual wedding. So yeah, sheer insanity, and it actually happened. And I really liked the political dynamics as displayed in the show. Octavian doing all this crazy marriage crap just because Livia has the ancient lineage he needs in order to become more powerful among the conservatives. I'm not really sure if Livia had as much say in the matter as they're making it out to be in the show, but there's no way for us to know anyway, so I might as well just enjoy this as a positive element of the production. And ending the review of the second episode on yet another stupid note in regards to the scene where the slave poisons Isabella Rossellini. Unless you make them swallow flesh disintegrating acid or something, plant based poison does not kill you that fucking fast. She literally ate some of the grapes and started bleeding out her eyes, which is ridiculous. And it's not like I'm an expert on poisoning or whatever, but I'm pretty sure even the most toxic plant poison has to work on you for like several hours before you actually realize you're dying. And with this scene, they obviously tried to pull a Red Wedding style shock value scene, given that even the angle is the same as the one they did with Joffrey's poisoning. Anyway, so much for Domino episode 2. I hope the third one gets better as well.